Hello, this video will be about the comparator, specifically how to use it to grade exercises. To grade an exercise submitted by a student, click on the name of the student. It will open in the comparator. Here you can see what the student has done compared to a standard. The standard will typically be the highest recommended annotation published in the Philosophy. You can choose the standard you want to grade the annotation against here. So let's say I want to grade it against annotation 31. I just choose it here and it'll apply the new comparison. So let's change it back to 22. On the left, you can choose between the students that you want to grade. So right now I only have one submission. You can view the annotation in full by clicking on the pencil button. Use the annotator to ensure that the citations are relevant. For example, if you see this one, you can click on the paper title here to check its PubMed entry. And you can see that that's got nothing to do with the actual disease, but this is an example, so I'll just leave it like that. Here, let's go back to the comparator. On the left, basically what the student has done on the right is the standard. Here you have the OK badges that you saw in the annotator. So when you click on them, you verify that the grade that the computer or the program thinks is correct. So, for example, this is a bit off, so maybe I'll dock a few points. This is completely correct, well, except they missed the juvenile. Typically, for the onsets and the frequency, we give that as bonus points, so maybe we'll just leave it as is. Okay, so for this one, there are quite a few phenotypes that you can look at. But you can see that phenotype has given a score of 93%, even though some of the phenotypes don't match exactly. So, for example, you have Babinski sign, which matches. You have areflexia, except they're different kinds. This one is more general, whereas the student has chosen a more specific one. In that case, the system penalizes a little bit, but not too much, because they have chosen the right kind of phenotype. Is just not, they chose a more specific one than they should have chosen. So this one is the same, and you can see that, hey, bonus, because they've chosen a juvenile, whereas on the standard it's also juvenile, so they get a bonus point. You can see in the documentation the bonus grid, so how many bonus points they'll get depending on which onset and which frequencies they've chosen. There are partial bonuses for very close frequencies and onsets. And you can see that the phenotypes are listed by system. So this one is the nervous system, and the student gets a 93%, which I'm satisfied with how the phenotype has marked it. Here we have abnormality of the skeletal system. I don't know the score here. Actually, let's see if we can do this. Oh, it's a 73%. And the reason is that they have chosen thoracic scoliosis, whereas the correct answer is scoliosis, so they have been more specific than they should. Well, in that case, the 73% is fair, so let's just leave it as is. You don't have to click on the OK buttons. They're optional, but they help you grade the student's work. So we're done with this one. Let's move on to the next one. Actually, before we do that, we have to conclude what grade we should give them. So you can define a score manually, or we can just grade 88%, which is what the computer recommends, based on the weighting of each system. You can add a comment, and you can save or save and release. So be sure to release the scores so the student can see them. Okay, so let's move on to the next disease. You can choose the disease you want to grade here. Okay, so for this one, there are no published annotations to compare to. So you can use this for crowdsourcing and not give them any mark, or you can give them a grade by looking at what they've done. So you can see that they've put in very little effort. They've only listed one phenotype, and it probably doesn't even describe this disease. So let's just give them a 0. All right, that's it for this. After you grade the exercise, you can make sure that all the scores are released. So for example, for this one, I only clicked save, I didn't release it. You can bulk release the scores in the exercises. So if you go to My Classes and go to Submissions, you can check all the submissions and you can bulk release the scores. So this way your students will receive all the scores at the same time. Okay, that's it for this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.